Hello, let's do this. It's Money Monday again. We made it, y'all. I hope you guys are staying hydrated. Unlike me, I just had to quickly run to get some lotion because these elbows, I be ashy in the house. If you don't believe me, check my other page, for real. But it was aggressively dry. So please stay hydrated, eat, sleep, do everything that you need to take care of you. Because you matter. You are the most important in this process of, building wealth and protecting your wealth. Today, we are talking about trust. Welcome. Hi, everybody. Happy to have you. If you have any questions, you know the drill. Drop them in the chat. Send me a DM if you don't want me to talk about it live. But we are talking about trust. What is a trust? Why do I need it? Who needs it? Who can use it? What are they for? All of those questions I'm hoping to answer. Let me tell you a little bit about me before we jump in. Welcome, Nikki. I'm Jayla. I'm your wealth best friend. It's a platform. Money Monday is a platform that I created to allow people to ask questions and get help and understanding and education to share my knowledge. I am a licensed attorney. I'm also a certified financial advisor working on my certified financial planner designation. So I got knowledge and I just felt like I wasn't doing anything with it. So share it. Don't bury the talent. Share them. So that's what Money Mondays is. That's what On My Own Financial is. It's just me trying to share wealth, which is education. Through my experience, I have a lot of it. I've actually managed trust, so that's where my background in understanding, and I draft trust for a living as the attorney side. So I have and trusts are actually what started On My Own Financial. Seeing $100 million sitting in one place in one trust owned by one person, all that did was okay, how does my community get there? How do we build that wealth so that we can have our trust? And you know what it is? It's having assets. And to have assets, you need financial literacy. You need to know what an asset is. After that, it's managing those assets, making sure that they are growing, making sure that they are protecting. You've got to have an estate plan. Trusts are normally used in estate plans, but they can also be good while you're alive. So let's hop into it. What are trusts? Hey, Amira. Amira's actually, responsible for all of this wonderfulness and why gravity was not nice to me while exercising. Thank you again. What are trusts? Are they for death only? Are they for life only? They are wonderful in that they are active while you're alive, depending on how you structure them, and they're also active after you're gone. So you can continue to control your wealth, your money, your legacy through trusts. That's something that you can't do with a will. A will is more of a one and done thing. A will doesn't activate while you're alive. It's only after you're gone. So that's one of my favorite things about trusts. There are two types of trusts that you will run into. One is an irrevocable trust. Now, irrevocable just means you can't change that trust. Whoever creates it normally has the ability to change it, but they've either opted that they don't want to ever be able to change it. If they do, it's going to require going to court and getting permission to do so, or they've passed away or they're incapacitated. They can't make any decisions to make a change to the trust. So that's an irrevocable trust. A revocable trust is what you see most often with people who have houses, people who've started to estate plan. They are able to be flexible with their trust, and they can change. Like today, I'm feeling like, my daughter can have everything that I have if I'm not around when she's 18. Tomorrow, I may feel like she needs to be 35 before she touches anything. Revocable trusts give me that option to change my mind as often as I'd like. Whereas an irrevocable trust, if I said she had to be 18 to receive anything from the trust, That's what we have to keep it as. So a lot of people like the revocable trust and they stick with that. Think of a revocable and irrevocable trust as you creating a person, because that trust now has a tax ID. It pays its own taxes. It's not controlled by you most often. It's controlled by a trustee. I've even had people know that they were bad with money and set up irrevocable trust and hand over trusteeship to banks for them to manage their money and ration it out to that person. Of course, they gave themselves a liberal standard, so it's not like they're living on nothing, but it is a way to help those who are called spendthrifts. You can't trust themselves with money. But yeah, it's also a way to own without owning. So everybody was shocked when the man in the White House turned over his taxes and we found out he had only paid $750 because he put most of his assets in trust. Obviously, they were irrevocable trusts, so the trusts are paying taxes. His trust better be paying taxes, I should say. But that's why he didn't have very much on his end, his financial end, to pay tax on. It's also how, you get people like Future who don't own anything when they go to court. They're saying they only have a 2-bedroom house and I don't have any money to pay support. Well, he might have his assets in trust, and then you technically, in irrevocable trust, you don't own those assets. They are controlled by a trustee and you've made yourself beneficiary, so it's possible. So let's dive into what can you put in trust? Like what's the point? Well, I just mentioned Future. You can put your recording masters, your publishing, your artwork. You can put your shoes, your purse collections. You want to put assets in it, and it's really important that you pay attention to growth. So anything that you have that can grow in value probably needs to be in trust. Because I know I say it often, a lot of people think they don't have very much to put in trust. And then they pass away and something that they own skyrockets in value. That's going to send you to probate. So you may not have it now. You may not have something super valuable now, but 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, I know I have that $100,000 Pokemon card in my collection somewhere. So those need to be in my trust. I haven't looked at them in forever. It's not something that, I bought as a child thinking, yep, this is going to be it. This is going to make me rich. If you have cryptocurrencies, which are skyrocketing now, like I remember buying when Bitcoin was 5,000. It's 23,000. Was 24,000. Those are the type of assets that you need to have in trust. You need to have a plan for. And everything else in between. So when you pass away, technically, your family or whoever you've appointed is supposed to put all of your assets on an inventory list. A lot of times they're supposed to get them appraised so that we know how expensive is this stuff. What's the value of everything you left behind? Because, don't listen to Rick Ross and Drake. When you die, please don't try and put your money in the grave. Please. You can't take it with you. Leave it here, but have a plan for it. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So that kind of trailed into the why of trust. It really is to control your legacy. Especially during those times where you're unable to make decisions. Now that may be you're out of the country, that may be you've passed away, that may be you're in the hospital, like a lot of people are right now. Some people create trust for tax reasons. Like I said, I gave you the Future man in the White House examples, and it's a great way to allow benefit, but not necessarily ownership. So if I wanted my child to benefit from everything that I've created, everything that I've built in my life, but not give her ownership of it, a trust would be the way that I do that. If I want to give her ownership, I would leave her assets in my will, because that transfers outright. Now, you can transfer your assets outright in a trust. It's just you have more flexibility to be like, no, you can benefit from everything that I have for the next 20 years. And we're going to allow you to grow and get smarter and wiser. You don't own it, so no creditors can come after you if you fail to be great with this money. But at 50, when I feel like that's the age you ought to have some, reasonable ability, and the trust should have grown by then you can have the proceeds outright. That's one of the greatest reasons to do that. And you guys know I love telling you about Power. Power is a great example of that. When Ghost passed away, he was serious about his child going to school. He knew his child wanted to be a drug dealer, wanted to be in the game. But he was like, you know what? I got a nightclub. I have stock assets. I have money. I have an apartment, a Manhattan apartment. You're not getting none of that until you graduate from college with a 3.5 GPA. None of it. I'm not taking care of you at all. I'm not even giving you a living allowance. I'm just going to give you everything after you meet my requirement. And y'all know, I don't know if you saw the new episode, but they continued. I'm going to have to post it. They continued the storyline of the trust and how it works. So look out for that. Poor Tariq. So who needs a trust? Like I said, anyone with assets. It's really important for people in tech, because a lot of times your friends next to you or the company that you work for, the startups, they could be the next Tesla or the next Uber, and you've got stock in it. That stock blows up. What happens if you're gone? Does your family know what to do with that stock? Do they know how to manage that stock if you give it to them outright? Whereas a trustee has duties. They've either got to hire somebody who knows how to manage it, or they need to know how to manage it, because they have legal requirements when it comes to trust and managing money. So same goes for investors. I know a lot of people like to invest in multiple assets. It's great to have a trust. Anybody who's a creative needs a trust. It pained my heart to be in some of the music-focused clubhouse rooms and hear how there are so many estates of wonderful, wonderful artists that, their estates are being deemed worthless and their catalogs are being sold for pennies on the dollar, and having to deal with family members, multiple family members having an interest in this one catalog and nobody making an agreement. Trust. The trust owns the entity. Everybody else benefits from it. So nobody has the power on their own to sell these assets unless you allow them to. Everybody needs a trust who doesn't want the state to make their decisions. So if you're not going to have a will at minimum, then your state is going to make the decisions for you. You're probably not going to like the way they go about it. If you have in California, you got to check your state laws. It's different everywhere. California, if you have more than $166,000, you're going to probate. Whereas I think in Missouri, if you have $40,000, you're going to probate. So everything that you have when you pass away, that's counted in the value of your estate. And last thing I want to tell y'all, having a trust is work. Don't just create a trust on LegalZoom and think that you're good. You're not. I'm going to let that sink in. It's work. Work. That's why there's a whole trust company. There's a whole trust department at banks. It is hard work. I did that work for years. Hard work. Have an attorney if you're going to have a trust drafted. Have an attorney who knows what they're doing, knows what they're talking about, and can walk you through the process. My process for my estate planning business, it's hand-holding. You need to understand that before you leave my office. You need to understand that after we create this trust, it's not over. It's just beginning. You have to fund this trust, which means everything needs to be in the name of the trust. So if you have a house and you have a trust drafted and that house title, the deed doesn't ever say your trust name, your house isn't in trust. It's going to probate. There are meetings that you need to be having with notes. You have to do accounting. So if you have an irrevocable trust and you've named beneficiaries, every month or whatever that document says annually, you need to be giving them a status update of what's going on with the assets in trust. Hey, Rishana, thanks for coming. So accountings, that's hard work. Statements, you literally have become a bank. You're in control of money and your beneficiaries need to know what's going on with it. Especially if it's irrevocable. Revocable, you get away from that because most of the time you're the trustee, the beneficiary, and the grantor, the people who created it. But when it becomes irrevocable, that's when the real duties. You have to do tax prep. So you either have to hire a CPA, but taxes need to be filed, especially for an irrevocable trust. And those taxes are the highest tax rate for an irrevocable trust. Revocable, it's going to be deemed you, so it's the same tax rate that you would pay, and pass through. It's work. So don't go to LegalZoom and all these other places expecting that they're going to hold your hand for that. No, you're signing up to be the attorney. So I say all that to say, don't let your state make your plan. Learn as much as you can about trust. They are very, very beneficial. I'm hoping that this was helpful to you, to just give you more insight. And for the rest of the week, I will try my best to post examples of trust, because they don't have to be super high net worth. Like Dave Chappelle was talking about a trust in his town, his small town, where somebody put it together and it gives out, I think he said, sugar and eggs to women in the community. That's the trust. And it also had some land, so it dedicated that to the community, but sugar and eggs to help women. It doesn't have to be complex. Just social good if you want. So if you guys have any questions, I'm here all day. It's Money Monday. I hope you guys are doing wonderful, staying healthy. Prayers up for a lot of my friends and family because they are battling a few things. So I'm just trying to stay happy and healthy and grateful. And I hope you guys are doing the same. Thanks for coming to Money Monday. Have a good one, everybody.